listening to the Bourbon Nerdz podcast, Bourbon Nerdz Spotlight, featuring Greg Upchurch, drummer for Three Doors Down and coffee shop owner in Kingston, Oklahoma, called Greg's Rockin' Goat Coffee. All right, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Bourbon Nerdz. I'm Cody.
I'm Garrett.
And we are the Bourbon Nerdz. We've got an exciting episode here. We've got none other than one of the greatest drummers alive, Greg Upchurch, come all the way down from Kingston, Oklahoma, a small business owner making some amazing coffee down in Kingston. So, Greg, thank you so much for coming on. I've been looking forward to this since we've spoken to you, but how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's a little chilly out there.
It's surprisingly chilly.
It's April and it feels like it's December.
I know.
It's messing with my allergies. I've been sniffling all day. It just kills me.
Baby, it's cold outside. Legitimately. So cool. How are things going? I know you're busy, man. Thanks for taking the time. The coffee shop seems to be doing pretty well.
Were you there last week? And I was roasting.
Oh, yeah, I did get to see that.
Yeah, and it was a great, cool process for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I was glad that it was kind of nice that you got to see that, that I'm actually physically roasting the coffee,
Yeah, it was nice. It was kind of cool to see, one, because coffee, like as much as I love bourbon, I love coffee probably more than that. And I travel a lot. I get to drink a lot of good coffee. But I will say, I really enjoyed your guys' coffee.
Thank you very much. Well, we take pride in it. Like I said, my partner, who's actually from Kingston as well, he owns the coffee farm in Bolivia, and it's just kind of small world. I'm sure we'll get to that, like how he kind of stepped in, but I mean, it's like literally an organic coffee farm in Bolivia, farm to cup. I mean, he ships it directly to us, and it's pretty fresh.
Yeah, and I think that's like one of the coolest things ever. I was like waiting for you to tell me where you source your coffee. I had like probably 10, 12 different countries, and then you're like Bolivia, and I'm like, ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty unique, I feel like.
I mean, I wasn't, this was not in the plans, when I drew my business plan up, it was just a coffee shop. I wanted to have something pretty, it could be self-sustaining too. I mean, it's just a coffee shop, nothing fancy. And then now it's turned into where we're roasting our own coffee and we own the farm. I mean, it's overwhelming. So it's really taken a lot more of my attention than I anticipated. So yeah, but it does, watching you do it, it seemed like you enjoy it, like when you're roasting and stuff. It's like a science. Well, yeah, it's something completely different from what I've been doing. That's what I wanted to do, is kind of like, I didn't want to get stagnant in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I got the greatest job in the world, but how do I make that job my side hustle?
Yeah.
That's the way I looked at it, because, there's a lot of off time in that industry. And especially, COVID got me thinking. It was like, okay, I'm not sure when I'm going to be playing a concert again, because it seemed like that was a lifetime away.
Yeah.
And no one's buying music anymore, so and what's the need in Kingston? Because I own that building.
Yeah.
My mom left it to me.
Okay.
And I was like, well, what, And then obviously there not being any coffee anywhere. When I asked somebody where to get the coffee, they said, well, there's a Starbucks in the Choctaw Casino. I'm like, are you kidding me?
You just go to the country store down the road.
Right.
Yeah. They got Folgers down in the Dollar General.
I hate to be, snooty coffee guy and all foofy, but I do like, a good espresso.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So anyway, I was like, that's what I could do. And I love coffee, and used to love bourbon, but I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
But my addiction lies with coffee right now. So, but
much healthier addiction and cheaper, a little bit cheaper too.
It's funny. It's like I can be around it. It's fine. I'm not like I don't know. It's just a lot easier than I thought. I hate to say that, but it's like my life is so much better now.
Yeah. No, that's
I found direction in it for me. It kind of worked for me. I mean, everybody's got their own processes they go through.
For sure.
And I still feel like I'm in my 20s. Not physically, but mentally. I feel like I can still do anything, but I've always had that mentality, like, why not me?
Yeah.
That
That's
seems
awesome.
to work so far. But yeah, the coffee stuff, it's just how it just kind of like, it got big fast on me, you know?
Yeah.
No, and I was there today, and there's 8 people in line.
Yeah,
just out of
I wish I
nowhere.
had a damn drive-through, but
Yeah. Hey,
that
fate, that's vision right
I
there.
know.
Maybe
We
you'll
got a
get there
coffee
eventually.
truck.
I mean, there's a little
Yeah.
little space right there. I guess you could maybe.
no,
I don't know. It's
the
kind
owner
of
of the
complicated.
land's a real jackass.
Oh, yeah.
And that's been an ongoing battle of mine, but he's going to get his in the sense of the fact that he's been trying to charge me for this place that's actually owned by the city. So
Gotta love those kind of people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
anyway,
So let's just get kind of to the beginning. So
Sure.
When did your love of drumming kind of start? Like, is it just like in band in high school, or?
well, to be honest, I don't remember exactly when it started, but it was a young age. It was before like any like school band stuff. I was probably in second grade first, but I didn't have a drum set. I used to make, I had like boxes, like toy boxes, like for models or cardboard boxes.
Yeah.
And I had them set around with, and I had dowel rods cut in half, and those were my drumsticks. And I mean, and then I saw a Kiss record. My cousin gave me a Kiss record, and this little record player looked like a boom box, almost thinking like a little fold out.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Put your record on it. And my life changed. I was just like, what is this? And then I found Queen, and then
I love Queen.
and then and I was banging on everything. And then I got a drum set from I bought an Ada. I think it was in the music store in Ada, because I bought my cymbals here in Durant at Wilbur.
Oh, Wellborn, yeah. Music.
Yeah. But I used to get my sticks there. No, actually, I used to get my sticks at Super C.
Super C.
C sold drumsticks.
Wow, I didn't know that. I used to work there. I don't know.
That's crazy.
They only sold size 2B, which was great. It was fine. They're a little big, but no. And then I got in this school band. I was heavily involved in the band, but I was also doing sports.
Yeah.
Because when you're in a town, growing up in a town like Kingston, and you're halfway can stand up and run,
Yeah.
they're going to put you in something because they need the bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was an offensive lineman. Look at me. You know what I mean?
You know Ethan Cox, right? Have you? Maybe I don't know. He lives in Kingston, but he's just like this kind of little, bulky guy. But they threw him on an offensive line, and it's just really funny. And I think back then they had like 12 people on the football team, so it's just like
you're playing offense and defense.
Yeah.
You're exhausted. I was in the marching band, so I'd take off my shoulder pads and put the drum on, and then march in the high school.
Yeah.
It was great though, because we were so bad my senior year. Like, I think I was telling you, we scored our first touchdown like in the week 6.
Oh yeah.
So I never got like a halftime ass chewing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was out there on the field playing the drum.
Yeah, that was me. I was a bass drummer.
Oh, okay.
I never got good at the drums, but I always liked playing, and I did the cymbals one year, and
Right.
so I was a band, but also a sports guy, because I was a big basketball guy though. So
Well,
I did
it was
football, but-
good to be in extracurricular stuff.
yeah, for sure.
Nerds.
Got you out of a lot of the other classes. You had lots
Sick.
of trips and things like that. And I enjoyed it. I had a great time in school growing up there, So I didn't know any different.
So did you kind of always know you wanted to be like a drummer, or was that just something that evolved? I'm just curious, because obviously at 2 you're playing on
It was
boxes.
always a dream. Me and my buddy would sit there. We figured it out. We were going to move to Hollywood. He was going to get a job at Jack in the Box because we wanted to eat nothing but
Jack in the
double
Box.
bacon cheeseburgers.
Heck yeah.
Ultimate cheeseburger.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Ultimate cheeseburgers.
Oh, they're good.
And fully loaded potato
trying
wedges.
to go to USC, and we were going to start a metal band. This was when we were in high school, and I just always wanted to do that, and I didn't know how really to do that. So obviously, I did not move to Hollywood. I moved to Edmond. So a little different.
Yep.
But like I was telling you guys earlier, when I graduated high school, I moved the very next day. So I moved to Edmond. I went to school at UCO, and I was in the jazz program. I was on a scholarship there. And then But right when I moved, my friend who had graduated from Kingston a few years earlier, who I moved in with, we had friends that they knew of somebody that needed a drummer for a band that was actually gigging.
Okay.
And there were a cover band in Norman called Stiff Richard.
Stiff Richard, I like it.
Yeah. And they were gigging like 4 nights a week pretty regularly. So I went and auditioned for them, and I showed up in a van. And I think I got the gig right. I don't even think I needed to play the drums.
Like, oh, you got a
So
van.
I had a van.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I live in a van down by the river.
So yeah, I had a little Astro minivan so I could haul all the gear because I think the singer didn't have a vehicle; he was on a bicycle.
True gigging.
Yeah, but it was like a cover band, and we played fraternity parties. We played at O'Connell's across the street from the football stadium.
Yeah, I know.
We played like in the parking lot for tips during the home games, and then we played obviously Deli, Campus Corner, Samurai, all that stuff that was back in the city. But so I'm doing that, and then I'm going to college, and I'm trying to keep my GPA up to keep my scholarship.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't do it because I'm like gigging like, I'm making good money. You know, for me, right out of high school, I'm like, and I'm playing drums. I thought I made it pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my version of it. At least I'm like, shit,
Little
I'm paying
did
all
you
my
know.
bills.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, obviously my schooling suffered.
Yeah. I mean, you're gigging till what, 3, 4 in the morning, probably?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
You can't. Yeah.
Because I'm playing till 1:30, 2 o'clock sometimes, Sometimes 2 shows like one in Norman. And during football season, in Norman, you're playing a lot more. But, no, and then the bass player ended up moving to L.A. in the band Stiff Richard. Mm-hmm. He ended up sleeping with our singer's wife or fiance.
That always makes a band.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So he left town. But he moved out to Los Angeles and North Hollywood. And then some time passes, and he calls me up, and he was like, hey, I'd lost my scholarship because I couldn't get my GPA up. So I'm still gigging. But then I was playing, that band kind of broke up, and I went to this other band, and went to another band. But I know I had to go get a job at Sound Warehouse, So, things weren't as promising as they were with my scholarship.
Yeah.
Also, my folks were helping me out, too, financially when I needed. But when I'm not going to school, they're like, well, you're on your own. So my buddy called me out from L.A., the bass player, and he was like, hey, man, you need to come out and join this band. We got this funk band. And he sent me this demo, and the singer was incredible, this girl, amazing singer. And I was like thinking about, I've never been west of Amarillo.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a big jump.
Yeah, I'm sure that's scary.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I was I think I was 22. And I remember I talked to my dad, and he said, if you're going to do it, you better do it now. Mm-hmm. And so that's all I needed to hear. And I packed up, and I had a Mazda 323. It was an 84. And it was, I remember taking it to a car repair shop, Kingston Car Care or whatever it was back then. I was like, will this car make it to California? And they were like, yeah, it should make it. Yeah. I mean, I'm like, okay. And what's funny is, on the way out, I guess I don't know how to tell this story because if I moved there I ended up joining a band called 11 first.
Oh, yeah.
After the funk band thing. But on my way out, I stopped by the Sound Warehouse where I just lost my job because I'm moving.
Yeah.
I bought 2 cassettes. I bought 11 and Elvis Costello because I saw 11 on Beavis and Butthead the day before. I you not. And I'm like, for some reason, I could hear the music in the background because they were ragging on it, but I kind of dug it. I was like, it's kind of interesting to me. And I was like, I love the drums of it, the groove. So I was like, okay. So I bought it. So I listened to that thing. And I took a buddy of mine from school, drove with me, and he flew back later, but he did the ride with me. Mm-hmm. And I listened to that cassette probably a good 10 times at least. I knew every part of that thing. So I get to L.A. I move in with this guy. I'm playing in the funk band. I end up working at Guitar Center on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. the Rock Walk where they got all the handprints from all the rock stars.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff.
Yep. I know exactly.
So that's where I was working. Well, there was two people from 11. It was a 3-piece band, a guy and a girl, Alan and Natasha. They walk in there, and I recognize them, and I immediately go up to them, and I'm like, "Hi, I know who you guys are. I'm a huge fan. I work here. What can I help you with?" You know. And they're looking. I remember they're looking for an instructional. If we had any instructional DVDs for tablas, the Indian drums.
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, we don't really have any of that, but, you know, and I started talking to them, and they mentioned that their drummer had just quit. Because I told them I was a fan of their the drummer. And they said, yeah, he quit. He's in Pearl Jam. I'm like, oh.
Hello. Name drop.
I was like, wow. And this is like 94-ish, 95. So Pearl Jam's huge.
Yeah, massive.
And I'm like, wow. I was like, well, if you need a drummer, let me know. Because I'm like, I know all your stuff. And then they actually, wrote my number down, I gave it to them. And they went on their way. And like, I remember I was just so kind of rock starred out. And I was telling my buddy that worked there with me, you know, I was like, oh my God. And he's like, he knew who they were too. And so we were excited. But anyway, I think it was like 3 weeks, not even close to 4 weeks. I kind of like, oh, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So they called me up and so asked me to come down and play. So I went down and jammed with them. And it took, I remember we played 2 of the songs that they had, and then they played some weird time signature things, some weird, odd. But I'm a jazz drummer by heart, or by nature, from the school and UCO and stuff, so I know theory, and I was able to count it out and figure it out, and so I started playing with them. And I think that's what helped, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, they called me up, and I got the gig, and it was like the very first thing we were doing was touring with Soundgarden in Europe for 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, holy
First tour was one of the biggest bands.
Oh, yeah, that's insane.
I mean, this is right after Black Hole Sun, you know, I mean, this is like, they're huge.
So can we credit your beginning to Beavis and Butthead?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because honestly, think about if you wouldn't have bought that cassette.
I mean, I never would have even knew who they were.
Yeah.
And I just knew who they were because I listened to them so much on that drive. And to put this in perspective, when the Bronco chase happened, the O.J. Simpson Bronco chase,
Yep.
I mean, I don't know how old you guys are, but
I remember that.
that's a where were you moment, you know. I was setting up drums. I was playing VZDs in Oklahoma City, watching that up there on the TV. And when the verdict was read that he was not guilty, we were out on tour with Soundgarden, and I was out in Europe. That's how fast LA wasn't even on my mind.
Hadn't even had time.
When at that point.
Yeah.
So that's how fast, when I moved out there, working at that store, and then like a month or 2 later, they come in. You know what I'm saying? It's
just barely.
Yeah, your life just changed time and time again in an instant, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and next thing you know, I'm like sitting in some 5-star hotel in Barcelona with Chris Cornell and Matt Cameron at the bar having drinks.
Golly,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just like getting to know these people.
That's insane.
Like not as fan. Like I'm gonna see you tomorrow at catering. Hang out. I went power walking with the bass player Ben Shepherd of Soundgarden. Every morning he'd call me up. Let's go and walk. Let's go power walking, bro. So we go. We have breakfast and we go on this long walks. Every city in Europe, we just go walking.
God,
I bet there's
love
some
Europe.
beautiful views out there too.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, it's incredible.
I love Barcelona. That's one of my favorite places. That's the first place I visited that I was like, I can live here. I could move here.
God, I love it. That's
Yeah.
my favorite place. In
I love
Europe.
Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Barcelona, yeah, it's like
Barcelona.
Ibiza.
It's not Barcelona. It's Barcelona.
Yeah.
So and then from there you tour with them and then how do you end up in Puddle of Mudd?
Oh, well, Puddle of Mudd was, I got a phone call one night from somebody that his name was Barry Squire. He recently passed, I think. I'm pretty sure that's it. Anyway. He was kind of like the guy who's like every management, every label, everybody knew, like if you need a bass player, a drummer, a singer, blah, blah, he's got a Rolodex of all kinds of people. He's got his finger on he knows every musician in town.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Puddle of Mudd didn't have a drummer. They did the record, but they used a session drummer, so they didn't have anybody for a tour. And this is Fred Durst's first band. He signed this band, and they called this guy Barry Squire. Called me. He's like, "Yeah, I've got 3 bands looking for a drummer. There's Puddle of Mudd, horrible name. First thing I thought it was like." And the other one was called Ours, Ours. Okay. Kind of like a Jeff Buckley type thing, a little darker maybe. And then a singer-songwriter named Pete Yorn. And so I got the Puddle of Mudd demo, or the songs to learn. They gave me 3 songs. Like Control, Nobody Told Me, I think. I can't remember what songs was. But then I heard Blurry. When I heard that, I'm like, shit, that's a hit.
Yeah, that song.
As soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, damn.
I remember the first time I heard that song, I'm like, who are they? Puddle of Mudd? What the hell?
I know, right?
There's a lot of interesting band names out there.
Yeah.
It's like, man, if these guys weren't really good, you'd be like, what were they thinking?
Well, that's the thing, And then when I showed up, I remember to pick the disc up to learn the songs. I went to the bass player's house, and they were all there, I guess, staying with him. And I grabbed the disc, and I met them real briefly. They were all sitting in the living room of this house in Hollywood. And when the bass player saw me, he's like, "Did you play in 11?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Did you play with Chris Cornell?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, okay." As soon as he said that, I kind of almost knew, like, I think I just got this gig if I wanted, just because I could tell the way he'd seen me play with 11, and then I played with Chris Cornell.
Yeah, legend.
Right. And then not on Soundgarden tour. I mean, anyway, we can get to that. But so I went to that audition, and it was weird. It was like every time I've ever gone on an audition, I just kind of like 11. I just kind of show up, and they're in the jam room, in the rehearsal room, and I walk in there. This one was like they had these tents set up in the parking lot where you went up and they took your picture. You got a form to fill out. You talk to this person about who you are, management, somebody, getting a feel for you. And then, there's like probably 15 guys, something. It was weird. This is like cattle call, American Idol-y kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who the are these guys?
Why is there so many people wanting to be
What's
here?
going on here?
Yeah.
So anyway, I went into it and I jammed with them, and it was down between me and another guy. And what we did is we rehearsed for a week. I would jam with them, and then this other guy would jam with them, practice. Then we went through this other another audition. I was like, what is going on? And I actually almost pretty much turned down the gig because I was still in 11.
Yeah.
It's not like that band was disbanded. We just got on finished touring with Queens of the Stone Age.
Queens
wow.
of the Stone Age.
Yeah, we did a U.S. tour with them. And that was right when Rated R record came out. And so there was we were playing cool venues, It was rock. It was a rock tour, It was cool. So it wasn't like I had this, So anyway, I was kind of like, I don't know what's going on here, but either you want me to play the drums. I don't know why I got to go through this other audition thing. And they were like, no, you want to do it. Come on, Anyway, so I did it. And when I got there, I saw Fred Durst was there. Jonathan Davis was there from Korn.
Yeah.
And then Peter Katz, or Bill McGathy from New York, who I knew, he's like radio god, guru back then. If you wanted to get on the radio, you had to go through Bill McGathy.
Yeah.
Kind of still do, but he manages everybody from Shine down to, and beautiful person too, by the way. Anyway, he was there, and I'm like, I want this gig because I'm like, I've been in a band already that's got so much respect from other peers. Like Soundgarden took us on the road because they were fans of the band. They weren't. We wasn't like we had a label that was doing this. And I'm looking at this. I'm like, they're not going to let this thing fail. They're going to, because you got funds behind it. At this point, I know, like they're going to put money behind it.
Yeah,
that's
for
what
sure.
it takes.
Yeah.
To get. So I went in there and I got I played my ass off and I got the gig. And they took me out to dinner, and it was Fred Durst is buying me steak. some steak at the Palms in Hollywood.
I bet he's an interesting fellow to hang out with.
Yeah.
Sure. Super nice, man.
Yeah,
he
seems
super, super nice, actually. I've got nothing bad to say about it. I mean, everybody hated him. And I'm like, it's this persona that it's kind of like professional wrestling almost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Wes, the guitar player.
Oh, dude, Wes is an amazing guitar player.
That's the thing is, like, he puts that makeup on because he's like, if he didn't have that, he wouldn't be the same. I mean,
No, exactly.
he's the character.
It's just like being an actor, being a villain in a movie. If you play that part, people hate. You're supposed to hate you, or you personify this being or this image that
you don't
have.
feel vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you feel like it's not me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's this other person, so I can be whatever I want to be.
Yeah.
I love the whole dad vibe thing he's doing these days too. It's hilarious.
He's embracing it. It's weird because we're all seeing this resurgence of all this stuff, like with the Creed tour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot younger than you would think, as far as the audience. I mean, there was a lot of 20-somethings, a lot, in Creed shirts, and I'm like, I can't remember the last, if I've ever remember seeing people wearing Creed shirts like in their 20s.
Hey, the Rangers wouldn't have won the World Series if it wasn't for Creed. And the team even talks about that. That inspired their whole team to come together. So
I know, and I'm a Rangers fan, and I was hoping like one of the shows, the Rangers, you'd think they would show up, but it was the time we played here, they were in Anaheim.
Oh yeah.
Playing. So that was when we did our show here. Because we played Fort Worth and Dallas, so we played 2 shows down there.
Nice. I remember watching you guys when I went to Oklahoma State. You guys did a free concert when you were in 3 Doors Down at the stadium.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
That was a long time.
That was a long time. That's when I was going to Oklahoma State there. I remember watching you guys.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was crazy. I was like, man, these guys are a lot better than, I mean, not that you guys are good, but I was like, you put on a hell of a show. I remember I was like, because obviously the Kryptonite song, I mean, everybody knows
all about
I forgot who y'all played.
It was for the coach was there. What was his name?
Oh yeah, shoot, I don't know. I know who you're talking about.
Not Gundy. It was a basketball.
No, it's a basketball. Yeah, he's like one of the most famous Oklahoma State basketball coaches. I hate when we can't remember stuff like that. But yeah, he was there.
Eddie Sutton?
Yeah, I think so. Eddie Sutton.
No,
or is
no, not Eddie.
No, it's his. Eddie Sutton is his son. I don't know.
Anyway.
But yeah, no, that was. I mean, you guys put on a free show. I remember going. We were in the basketball gymnasium. Mm-hmm. I remember watching you guys. Y'all put on. I was like, man, dude. I was like, you watch a concert, you're just pumped up. You're like, dude, man, this is bad, and then go out and hang out and stuff. So that's pretty cool. I'll never forget that.
It.
Yeah,
it's one of the coolest experiences, man. I mean, it's even better on my end. I remember when we played a show, and my old singer from my high school band here, he was from Kingston, and now he lives in Florida. But he always wanted, be a singer, and he's so proud of me, and and I took him one time. I was like, I want you to walk up on stage with me and see this. Whenever the lights go out in the crowd and the whole thing, and just watching him like experience that. I was like, I get to do this every night.
I mean, I can only imagine. Like, so I went to Warped Tour once, and we got behind the stage to watch the band, and just seeing that side, it's a pretty surreal experience to like be like, wow, this is pretty amazing.
I played some like Rockin Ring, the European.
Oh man,
they're like as far as you can see. I mean, you don't know how many people are there. It's just it's just one thing. You know what I mean? It's like you don't get nervous for it or anything. It's like it's just too much.
Yeah.
Like we got one coming up. And with Sand in My Boots or Boots, it's like with Post Malone, Morgan Wallen, Hardy.
Oh yeah, I've seen advertisements for that.
It's in what's it, Gulf Shores, Alabama.
Yeah,
it's on the beach, and it's like I don't know how many people are going to be there. I mean, it's probably going to be 30,000, 40,000 maybe. I mean, at that point, it's on a beach.
Yeah,
it's like I don't know how many people there.
That'd be cool.
But you do those kinds of shows. That's when you see those kind of audiences. But the Creed tour was great because every show was sold out. I mean, every single one of them. So it was. I mean, that's hard to do.
Yeah,
for sure.
So that demand, that resurgence is back. So it's kind of You get caught up. It's like, oh, it's been 20 years already.
Well, I know it's like every year passes a little faster. I was just thinking about that. I'm like, it's April already.
Hey,
like,
man,
what
the
happened to
older
this
you
year?
get, the quicker it goes.
It does, 100%. Gotta enjoy life.
So going back just a little bit, so you were in Puddle of Mudd for a while, and then you end up with Three Doors Down in 2004, 2005?
2005.
Yeah. What kind of happened, the transition there from going from one band to another?
Well, we just finished doing a tour with them. I was in Puddle of Mudd. It was Puddle of Mudd, Three Doors Down, and Nickelback. And during that tour, I guess, Nickelback was kind of courting, I guess you'd say, the drummer for Three Doors Down.
Oh, yeah, I did see that he went.
Right.
I think he's still with them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just so happened, I didn't know anything about this, but because I just called him up out of the blue. You know, because just give him a call, see what he was up to. Because we just finished touring, so I got to know him. And he's like, I guess you're calling about the gig. I was like, what gig? He's like, I'm leaving, I'm joining Nickelback. I was like, really? I started thinking about it, and Puddle of Mudd was the same thing. It's like the second record wasn't as successful as the first, but still, I'm like, I'm pretty content. You know, I got a good gig.
Yeah.
But I'm like, thinking about like longevity. And my singer at the time, Wesley, which we all now, everybody can see what I saw.
Yeah.
Was difficult. So, and when he's this captain, the face of the brand, and you have no control over that, like him, I'm kind of angry with him in the sense that I'm proud of what we did as well, as far as like how we were a good band live, and just really tight. But him just to like ruin the legacy, I've got no say over it, and it's kind of like now it's like become a punchline. Yeah, because it's like he's, you know, I couldn't.
Yeah, because they don't keep musicians in the band around. I was looking at the Wikipedia, and I could just see that, you know, he's got like new guys every year, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, so, and the first reincarnation of that band that we were when we first came out in 2000, 2001, whatever that was a tight, we were hungry. I mean, we were all the perfect age, like the 27, 28, that perfect sweet spot. For the business of being in the rock band. You know? All seasoned just enough, you know, and had the right label and money and funding and stuff. But just to watch him like make it, you know, I'm almost like embarrassed sometimes to say I'm in that band, which is up.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when I was meeting people in Nashville when I first moved out there, and I was meeting all these different musicians at these music club things that they do, and they were, you know, talking about what band you play in, what do you play in. And I was like, well, and I'll always say when I get to Puddle of Mudd, they're like, oh. And I'm like, and Chris Cornell, and they're like, oh. So I've always got that one in my pocket.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I'm cool, but like if that, you know, but you get my point. It's like it just sucks. So anyway, when the Three Doors Down thing, I thought about it. I was like, man, I could see Three Doors playing Here Without You in casinos when they're 70. You know,
and we saw you guys at the casino, I think last year. There,
right? You know, I could see that happening. Puddle of Mudd, I can't see him doing She Hates Me. It's you know. Much less 20 years from now. So, and with me, it's like, how long can I do this? And that's what longevity to me was always important. How long can I do this? I mean, I want to do it for as long as I want to do it. You know, I don't want to be forced out and be like, oh, I need a band. That's why with Three Doors Down, it's like, it's professional. It's ran like a business. They know what they're doing, but they got.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I think that's important too, because I think a lot of people when I wouldn't know because I'm not a famous drummer, but like you don't think about, you're in the moment and then it's over in a blink of an eye, and a lot of people aren't preparing themselves for longevity.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like you're riding the wave, right? And when it crashes, it crashes. So I think that's probably testament to why you've been so successful for as long as you have. And I think that's good just to kind of take a second to notate that.
Well, there's also a lot of luck involved too.
Yeah.
You know, right place, right time.
A lot of fate. Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of fate.
Yeah, you got to believe in
stuff.
yourself. Mm-hmm. You have to trust you. You know, you got two guys on your shoulder. One, you know, sitting there telling you you're not good enough. You're not good looking enough. You're not smart enough. You're not funny enough. You're gonna fail. Well, that guy. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you gotta. If you would just be nice to yourself and treat yourself like your best friend, like what would you tell your best friend if he was in the same situation you are? You know, you would tell him that. But you won't tell yourself that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we're just people like, I look at myself as a character like in a movie. You know, of course he goes to California and tries it. You know, I don't want to live with regrets and like, woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
You know?
That's kind of like starting the podcast. Like we were just talking about it because he went to film school and he wanted, you know, he was like, I'm going to start a movie podcast. And I've been talking to one of my good buddies, Brian. We were like, dude, let's do a podcast. I think it'd be so much fun. And then him and I are talking. I'm like, I ordered 2 Pog mics, and you know, we're kind of following our dream. And
you got to pinch yourself in the corner. You figure it out.
Yeah.
It's like sink or swim. You're going to learn how to swim. It's like I don't know anything about running a coffee shop. Just do it. Figure it out.
Yep.
You're going to fail. That's how you're going to learn.
Yep.
And if you don't learn, then that's how you're going to keep failing.
Yep.
You know?
100%.
Just do it. I mean, I hope I don't get sued by Nike. But,
No.
you know what I mean? But it's true.
No, it is for sure.
That's kind of what it is. That's the secret to life. You know, I always tell people, it's like, well, when I get advice, it's like I always tell them, it's like, don't be an addict and don't be a dick.
Yeah.
It's just that simple.
It sucks these days because social media has created monsters online, and it's like we all gather around failure. That's what social media has become. Look at that person fail. Look at that person make a mistake. And, you know, there's so many still good people out there and so many good things happening and people following their dreams. We kind of forget sometimes that just how special individuals we are and what we can do if we believe in each other, support one another. You know, what Garrett and I are about is we want to create a community that brings people together. Yes, it is focused around bourbon, but that isn't everything. It's sharing your passion of what you love and understanding others and
very social aspect.
Yeah,
sure,
being appreciative and learning from others because, we don't know everything. So there's just so much life has to offer. You know, that's something that I've learned early on when I was able to start traveling with work, and I lived in Barbados for a couple of years. And, because I know we'll get into the topic coming from a small town like that, you know, comes with a different mindset, and people always like, he's a small town kid and he's not going to do nothing, you know? So he'll work at McDonald's or something.
It's almost like coming from Kingston, people just expect that. They just expect you to stick around Kingston and work at Super C or go to Duran which, you know, we ended up back here, but I mean.
Well, the thing is like, if that's what makes you happy.
Yeah.
I mean, who's to say?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the world's bigger than you think it is, but it's getting smaller every day if you go out there and check it out.
So here's a question, because I think this will be really good to speak to our audience. So anyone out there that's listening to this episode and you have an idea or a dream, what advice would you give them to go out there and be successful and kind of follow their dream?
Well, be around as many like-minded people as possible. Like, I'm a musician. Where am I going to go? I'm not going to go to Dallas. I'm not going to go to Oklahoma City. And plus, I need to be far enough to where I can't just go home. So it was kind of like Nashville really wasn't on the radar because it was all country and I was not country. So it was like New York or LA. Mm-hmm. I could envision. But whenever I got that call from my who I had a place to, I slept on an air mattress in a 2-bedroom apartment with 2 other guys, and eating, I'm not doing very well financially,
Living on ramen noodles.
Yeah.
I've been there. Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of the start for a lot of actors or musicians. You know, they go to New York or
You
LA
have to struggle.
Yeah.
You have to struggle it's
a sacrifice for sure.
a penance, whatever you want to call it. But how can you appreciate success without falling down? How, everybody, the ups and downs. Well, that's what life is. It's not going to stop. Mm-hmm. You're going to, but whenever you use money to you think those ups and downs are about money, that's when you kind of get mistaken and you start to kind of lose track of what's important, kind of thing.
Yeah.
'Cause money's always going to come and go.
Yeah.
But it's just like, where are you at in your mind?
Yeah.
Are you at peace? Are you happy? And if, a place like Kingston, people ask me right now, it's like, do you want to live there? And I was like, well, I want to die there. Mm-hmm. That's a good place to slow down.
Yeah.
I got to go out. I got to check it out. I got to live in LA. I got to live in Nashville. I'm cool with being at the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lake's nice.
I was kind of that way where I went to Oklahoma City. I went to school. I worked on some TV shows and news and stuff. And I just got to where I was like just kind of missing home. I'm like, yeah, this is cool, but it's, I'm working 3 or 4 jobs trying to make ends meet. And it's not really, which, I probably could have put a little more effort into trying to do bigger and better things, but I'm really content with where I'm at now.
Sure.
So, not quite as extravagant as, you went out, but that's kind of, I think everybody needs to kind of,
also different times.
Yeah, for sure.
You can do you can do a lot of things in a small town now. Mm-hmm. You can release your own record, from your living room with a computer.
Yeah.
We did not have computers. That was a different. So it was kind of like you had to go where the scene was. So that's, I just got lucky. Like I said, I just happened to be at work that day, and it was. I'll tell you one thing that was kind of wild is when I first moved there, I was playing in that funk band with that bass player. Mm-hmm. So I was in a band as soon as I got there because they needed a drummer. So we were playing at this place called the Coconut Teaser on Sunset Boulevard and in Crescent Heights and Sunset. And I'm driving over Laurel Canyon. And I don't know if you're familiar with Laurel Canyon, but it's a windy road. Mm-hmm. And there's like no sidewalk. It's just like the mountain goes like this, but it's like, it takes you up to Mulholland, which Mulholland runs across the top of it, and then it goes down into the valley where I live in North Hollywood. So you got North Hollywood, go over the canyon into Hollywood, where the Hollywood sign is. So you go over that mountain. Anyway, I'm driving over there, and I see this guy hitchhiking. I'm like, this is dangerous. This is like 2 o'clock in the morning. and I've never picked up a hitchhike. I've never, ever. This is the only time I've ever done it. And I just felt bad because he had a little dog with him, and I don't know, he had long hair, and he just looked like a rock guy, whatever.
Yeah.
So I got in my car, and I'm driving, and he looks back and sees my drums. He's like, "Oh, you're a drummer?" I said, "Yeah." And he says, "Oh, I was in a band. You ever heard of Rat?" I'm like, I look over, and it was Robin Crosby, the big blonde guy from Rat.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, holy and this is like, it's not, at that time, it wasn't that far away from him being, Rat was a big thing. This is, within 10 years. But he was what do they call it? Squatting.
Oh, okay.
In a house in Hollywood, in that area. He was homeless. And I found out, like, the music stores, he had hawked all his stuff. He died, like, pretty quickly after that from AIDS, from heroin addiction. And now when I look back at it, I was like, that was the first rock star I've ever met, right?
Wow.
Because that was like first Hollywood something.
Yeah.
And I was like, now I look back and it was like God was just tapping me on the shoulder going, be careful.
Yeah.
This, and it just stuck with me, So
don't go down that path.
Right.
Yeah.
So I never tried any hard drugs like that. So at that time, there was a lot of people doing them. We had Lane Staley just passed, and, we were back in that Seattle heroin-y kind of haze.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was about that time, yeah.
So you drummed for Chris Cornell, correct?
Yeah.
So do you have any good Chris Cornell story? I'm sure you hung out with him a lot, so I'm sure you...
Yeah, actually, I got paid $350 to make out with him.
Hello. That's a juicy one.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny because, like, it's the only man I've ever kissed. I'm like, I'm going on top.
Yeah.
We were drunk in the back lounge one night. We were passing around this bottle of Courvoisier. And that's what he always had, Courvoisier or VSOP.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, the cognac.
Cognac. Yep. I actually had some of that. I tried it in Colombia. I haven't had it in forever.
We were drinking a lot of cognac on that tour. But Natasha came back and she said she would give me her per diem if I made out with Chris. She was just drunk. We were all
Have a good
so
time.
he looked at me, and I was sitting next to him in the back, and I looked at him, and I just climbed on top, and we were both getting into it, like tongue and everything. Like, oh my God, I'm fucking making out with Chris Cornell.
Yeah.
But no, and then once we went and saw a few of us, me, him, the guitar player, and Natasha, went to go see American Pie in the movie theater.
Oh, yeah, that's a good movie.
Yeah, it was right when it came out. It was a matinee. We had a day off, and there's right where we're staying there is a movie theater. We went over there, and there was nobody in this movie theater. And when we came out, we walked out the doors. There was 200 people standing taking pictures of Chris, and wanting pictures of Chris. I was like, so somebody saw our ass walk into that.
Yeah. Like, hey, it's Chris Cornell.
He's in this,
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I couldn't imagine being that and having that in my life. Like, you really can't. I mean, it is. Like, when you see him, it's kind of like, there's no doubt who that is.
Yeah.
He's about 6'3", he's tall.
Big guy, yeah.
Yeah. And he's striking,
Yeah.
Just,
One of the greatest voices of all time. I mean, I'm a huge Chris Cornell fan, so.
I mean, it's kind of, he's up there.
I didn't know you played with Chris Cornell, so.
Oh, no, yeah, we did
That's awesome.
Yeah, I played on a song called Sun Shower that he did. It was the first kind of Chris Cornell solo project because he'd done some other stuff, but his first Chris Cornell project for him was Sun Shower. I played the drums on that, and then we did Ave Maria for a Christmas, very special Christmas. And then we did his solo record, Euphoria Morning. But several musicians were on that record. Like Matt Cameron played drums on it. There was like 5 other drummers that played on it. But I did the tour. He basically hired 11 to be his band.
Okay.
We added a bass player, a friend of ours that played bass. But it was basically 11.
Yeah.
And I remember we were actually going to form a band. And we were all thinking of names. We were on the bus, like, what's a good name? What's a good name? So I'm like, I remember telling my best friend in Ardmore, he lives in Ardmore now, calling him, I was like, dude, we're forming a band. I'm going to be in a band with Chris Cornell. He's going to be my singer. And I'm just like, oh my God. Because it's one thing when you're doing his Chris Cornell and we're his band.
Yeah.
It's another thing where we're going to be a band.
Yeah. That's a different bond, right?
Yeah. So I remember one time I went down to, we were off the road, and I went down to see Alan and Natasha. And I went in, and Natasha was in tears, laying on the couch. And I was like, what's going on? And Alan, he just shook his head. You don't want to know. And I was like, what? She goes, Audio Slave.
I love Audio Slave.
I love Audio Slave too. I'm sorry.
Like, is that what? She goes, so he's in a band now called Audio Slave. And that's how I found out that he was doing this thing, because it was like he ended up going in with Rage Guy.
Yeah.
Tom Morello,
Rage Against the
yeah,
Machine is like one of my most favorite bands of all time. I love Rage.
Man, it broke my heart, because I was like, that was the end of that.
Yeah.
So and after that, that's when we went out with Queens of the Stone Age. And then I got the Puddle of Mudd thing.
That's crazy, man. Chris Cornell.
Yeah.
That's surreal. I didn't know you.
Yeah, just being like hanging out with him.
One of the greatest artists to ever live. Like, that guy's voice is,
Yeah.
I've listened to that his solo album, man.
What was cool was, like, after he passed, somebody released a concert on YouTube of the very last show we played. It was at the House of Blues in Vegas. It was the very last show I played with him. And
That's a great venue.
and then they released it on YouTube. Because until then, I had no videos of me playing with him, other than I think we played Letterman. We did one song of David Letterman that I can barely watch to this day because I'm hauling ass. I'm like, slow down. I'm so young. First time
Full of energy. Yeah.
Playing David Letterman and with Chris Cornell. I mean, I was playing so fast. I'm like, oh God. Anyway, but no. After he passed, somebody put the video up of that entire concert, so it was really cool that I got to see that.
Yeah.
So there is something out there, and it was cool to watch.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's got to be so surreal.
Yeah,
man,
it was cool. A cool story was that we were on that Chris Cornell tour. We were pulled over on the side of the road in, I want to say Arizona somewhere, but it was like a Flying J, like like a gas station.
Yeah.
And we pull over, and we fuel up the tour bus, and then we pull over to the side so we can get out. It's like 2 a.m. or whatever. It's late, early, whatever you want to call it. But then another tour bus pulls up, and it's leased from the same leasing company as our bus. And our tour manager, we're all drinking, That's what we did. We had a good time. They're like, Greg, you go see who's on that bus. And, of course, I'm the youngest person on the tour. Younger than every.
You're the baby, right?
I'm the baby.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, run over there. I swear I think I've got just like no shoes on. Run over there, knock on the door, and this is like a no-no. But I guess I'm like, I'm in that bus. I'm like, who you got? Who's up there? And they open the door, and they're like, I'm with Chris Cornell. Who? And then I hear somebody go, Chris Cornell. And I'm like, who's? He goes, I'm Joe Strummer. And it's Joe Strummer, British, from The Clash.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. So.
Small world.
I know, I'm like,
at a random gas station.
At a gas Flying J. I'm like, so I go over and tell Chris, I'm like, it's Joe Strummer. And he's like, no, he's like, grab that cognac. And so he pulls their bus over. So I went over there with Chris and went on his bus and sat there, and we passed around this bottle of cognac. And I'm just like standing there with Chris Cornell and Joe Strummer of The Clash, just at this Flying J gas station, just watching them shoot the shit.
That's so cool.
Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
It's
like one of those moments where you're like, I made it, or this is it. You know what I mean? Like it's
literally 2 years ago, I'm playing at O'Connell's, or Samurai or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. So anyway.
So snapshots in time. Yeah, you're just like, this pinch me. I'm not, this isn't real.
Things like we were playing in, I was in Puddle of Mudd. We were playing in Brixton, which is London. Mm-hmm. And we're on tour with Stained at that time. And we were opening up. And it was my birthday, my 32nd birthday. And I'm in catering, or not catering, I'm sorry, I'm in our dressing room, and I remember I'm like looking at a cheese tray, a deli tray or something. And then our booking agent in England, his name's Rod McSween, he comes in and goes, Greg, I want you to meet my friend Jim. And I turn, and it's Jimmy Page.
Oh.
Like, oh my God. He goes, hello, mate, or whatever. I don't remember. And I was like, hi. I'm just.
Wow. Yeah.
And so we're sitting there talking, and comes up that it's my birthday. And he's like, oh, it's your birthday? And I was like, yeah. He's like, come to Pizza Pomodoro tonight. And I just remember, like, I'll never forget it, Pizza Pomodoro. Mm-hmm. I remember taking a shower after the show, Pizza Pomodoro.
I'm going to hang out with Jimmy Page.
Pizza Pomodoro, don't forget pizza. So I remember I get outside, and they got a runner person who, that works for the venue, promoter or whatever. I'm like, can you take me to Pizza Pomodoro? So they take me to this pizza parlor. And it's like a full-on... It's a pizza parlor, but it's like a velvet rope, literally, like with a guy with a clipboard, letting people in. They're not letting just anybody come into this pizza parlor. And I'm like, okay, this makes sense now. Because at first I'm like a pizza place.
Yeah, like
and then I get there, I'm like, okay, this isn't your typical pizza. So anyway, I walk up there, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if my name's on the list, but Jimmy Page told me to come here. And the guy goes, oh, you're the drummer. I'm like, yeah.
That's me.
Like, oh. And he opens the thing up, and he's like, well, oh my God. And then this other guy comes and walks me, walks me to Jimmy Page's table, and it's just him sitting at a table, and I'm literally sitting closer than I am to you with him, and he's like, what kind of pizza you like? Happy birthday, and he gets a pitcher of beer for me. He buys me a pitcher of beer and gets a pizza, and remember, he's drinking a Coke. and he wasn't drinking. And I just remember sitting there. There was nobody really. It was like this little elongated booth kind of thing with little tables on a big long booth, and he was in the booth and I was in the chair. And we're at the end. Mm-hmm. And there wasn't really anybody next to him except for the actress. You know who Rosario Dawson is?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She walked up and came up and made herself present because she was fanning all over Jimmy.
Oh, yeah.
And
how are you not drilling either, dude? It's like,
I know. I'm just like,
oh
my
God, starstruck.
I'm there for like about 2 hours. And as funny as like, I don't remember what I talked about. I don't remember. And it wasn't because I was incapacitated or something. It was just like, it's hard to communicate to somebody like that and just like take it all in.
Yeah.
And especially in that situation when it's kind of like, it's not something I've been planning for. It just happened.
On your birthday.
On my birthday. And Jimmy Page is buying me pizza and beer.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there remembering, just like, don't talk about John Bonham. Don't talk about, like, because everybody, that's exactly what he thinks I'm going to talk about. So don't do that. So I'm like, I remember there's a flamenco band playing. Like this guy was like doing.
Oh, yeah.
And they were.
La 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 bamba.
Like, they were like really good. And so I remember talking a lot about them and just kind of like music in general and stuff and just, Aleister Crowley's house. I was like, did you buy his house? I remember I asked him really about the sound on Physical Graffiti. Had a couple questions. So yeah, I just remember I don't even remember what the answers were. Anyway,
was the pizza good?
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. Yeah, no. So there's been experiences in my life where there's just these little things that have happened that.
Blessings, man.
Yeah, it's just cool experiences, so I think I've made the most of it, I don't have any like woulda, shoulda, couldas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what I'm happy about.
There's not a lot of people that can say that.
No.
So.
I mean, why not try it? I mean, it's not like athletics where you got to work your way up there and it's obviously Adrian Peterson can run with a football.
Yeah.
We see that.
Yeah. Freak of nature.
My industry, it doesn't matter how good you are. You can be the best drummer in the world, and they don't care about that. Can you not speed up?
Yeah.
Can you just play a simple beat, make everybody else sound good? Mm-hmm. Yes, I can do that. You know what I mean? It's like it's different. It's like when it comes down to it, it's your personality that's going to carry it. Your talent can get you in the door, but your personality is going to keep you there.
Yeah, because I see a lot of bands doing like just session drummers or touring drummers, and you see like a lot of really good drummers who are just doing that kind of stuff. So that's pretty interesting. And going back to the West thing where they kind of just take over the whole thing, you kind of see that a lot more too, where a lot of the singers are just kind of, they want to take over the whole project. Like the band Ghost is a good example. He's like, I am the creator. This is my thing. And
well, you kind of got a situation also with I think it's REO Speedwagon. The singer quit, but he wasn't the original singer.
Yeah.
So he doesn't own the name REO Speedwagon. So he can't go do. But he is the voice.
Yeah.
So it's different. It's like you can't be. I mean, other than like and maybe an Eddie Van Halen or something, or the voice is what the band is recognized as.
Yeah,
it's just what the relationship, the strongest bond with the listener is through the voice, not through the guitar or bass or drums.
Or like the band Saliva, they have a new singer, but Josie Scott is doing Josie Scott of Saliva or whatever. Right. And so, yeah.
It's always kind of rights and the things. It's like, because that's what I thought the Pantera thing was so interesting because like it's got the guys who created the band pretty much that are gone. So that's the only way they can get away with doing what, but somebody's getting money.
It's actually one of my few rock star stories is I was at Trees in Dallas watching a concert. And a guy kind of brushed into me. I turned, and it's Vinnie Paul, just randomly there at Trees watching Starset, I think was the band. I was like, and they said, yeah, he comes here all the time. And then not long after that's when he passed. And I'm like, well, that's kind of crazy that I just ran into him before all that. But
man, I got to meet Dimebag a couple times and Vinnie, and he was exactly what you think. There's nothing. He's just like what he portrays. I mean, there's nobody will tell you any different. It's the most genuine person, and it's funny. It's like if you would have told him like how he's gonna go, one day somebody's just gonna come and shoot you on stage in front of a concert. He'd probably be like, "Hell yeah, man!" You know what I mean?
I'll go out happy.
Go out rocking. You know, I mean, I say that facetiously, but you know, like, I mean. The funny story about him was we were doing a show and I was in Puddle of Mudd, and it was in Colorado or something, but it was like a festival, and Rammstein was headlining.
Oh man!
Yeah,
those guys are one of the best live acts I've ever seen.
Oh, there's no question.
They're insane.
And this was back in.
that's the Duhas guys, right?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
This is before they even had the big shows they have now.
Yeah.
But they still have big shows. I mean,
They took 8 hours to set their stage up.
well, yeah, right. But this is kind of before that. But they're headlining.
Yeah.
You know what's going on after Rammstein.
Yeah.
No.
So, but Damage Plan was on that bill.
Oh, okay.
And Puddle of Mudd was. And I remember we finished, and Wesley's sitting outside the dressing room with the oxygen mask on his nose.
Oh, because it's Colorado.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's getting his breath, and Dimebag walks by and he says, "Hey, man, let me get a pull off your rig." And he's like, "What?" He goes, "What is that?" And he puts it on and he goes, "What is this?" And he's like, "It's oxygen." He's like, "Oh man, that's everywhere." Because I go, "I thought you guys had some nitrous or some shit." And right when he said that, Rammstein was walking down, going to the stage,
Oh wow.
and they were all coated in flour.
Oh, yeah.
And they were wearing diapers or something. Diapers.
They do
They're
so
all
crazy,
walking
yeah.
by there, and Dimebag watches them all and says, "Go get them, boys!" I mean, that's just who he was.
Yeah.
I mean,
Good old boy.
Yeah, it was just sweet person. I remember the first time I ever saw him. I mean, I saw him play at the place called the Electric Company in Denison.
Yeah, electric company.
Yeah, I saw them play there in like 88, 89, something like that. It was before they were still local. But I'd seen them a couple times before they I never actually saw them after they kind of made it. I'd only seen them at like Joe's Garage in Dallas. I don't know if it was the Basement, one of those places. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But they were the big thing around here.
Oh, for sure.
So talk to us about, because I remember you mentioned you got a Kiss album early, but who's kind of like your idol for drumming that's kind of you modeled after, or maybe a few that you really have just, you took something from them and kind of made it your own?
Well, Matt Cameron was a big influence, but at a later age.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, obviously you're influenced by John Bonham, Zeppelin, and you're playing along with Kiss Records and Foreigner and Bad Company and all, and then, but like as far as like drummers, like Steve Gadd was like one of my favorites. Him and a guy named Bernard Purdie. They both played with Steely Dan. It's kind of like I kind of got to like Steely Dan's one of those bands like I hated, and then one day it just clicked with me. I was like, oh shit, these guys are really good. Mm-hmm. And I got it. It's kind of like the Stones was the same way. I was like, it just sounds like noisy rock. They're out of tune, and it's like, I get it. Yeah. It's kind of like you kind of mature into that. You understand it better from such a critical point. You're just accepting it for what it is. Mm-hmm. And it's like some people, it's like Neil Young's voice. It's like either you like it or you hate it.
Yeah.
It's just you get it or you don't kind of thing.
Yeah.
I get that with, I can't think of his name right now, the lead singer of AC/DC. He's like very high pitched.
Not Bon Scott.
Not Bon Scott.
Brian Johnson.
Yeah, Brian Johnson.
Yeah.
Because I've never been a huge fan of his voice, but I know, AC/DC is a very great band, but that's kind of one of those things is like either you like his voice or you don't. Which actually, he was in a band before that, and his voice was great. I don't know where he came up with the whole high pitched like he does in AC/DC, but it's pretty interesting when
it's a commitment, though.
Yeah,
I was going to try to do an impression, but I was like, no, there's no way. I'll break the mic.
Screams is kind of brilliant because like it sounds like it's screaming, but it's a falsetto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this falsetto scream. So he's not really having to push too hard. Mm-hmm. I mean, Yeah, he's got to push, but it's like it's better than a full voice singer. Like when Wesley from Puddle of Mudd went back in the day, he would scream that shit. I mean, hitting his notes and stuff. And I'm like, man, and he's not taking lessons to take care of it and doing vocal exercises. He's using drugs and drinking. It's like, there's no way he's going to be able to keep this up. And obviously, we've seen like with the thing that went
the
viral, Nirvana cover,
yeah,
right?
About a Girl.
Now is what he's known for most, and first and foremost now.
Yep.
But I mean, there you go.
And I mean, you see that a lot. Like I think David, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, from Disturbed, David Draymond.
Yeah.
He had to have some vocal surgeries and stuff. And I think a lot of singers probably from back then just didn't have
Chris Cornell, when we were touring with him, he was still taking vocal lessons. He wouldn't talk. Like when he talked pretty quietly.
Yeah.
And he wasn't loud and boisterous. He was always kept his cool. Like I never saw him really even though we'd be, we talk about drinking the cognac and stuff, and I never saw him can't walk or really inebriated.
Just very composed kind of individual.
He wasn't that guy.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, cool. So do you have like a favorite song that you might have created over the years, or like a favorite song that you love playing the most? I know you have so many different things that you're a part of. I didn't know if maybe there's something that you're like, oh yeah, that's.
I mean, really just all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all your baby. I get it. Yeah.
I mean, it's just being able to look back and say, actually, it was cool because I got to be a part of it when it was real and there wasn't downloads and you had to go buy a record. I was in that weird transition stage in the industry where it kind of went the way of coal mining. All of a sudden, it's like, well, your industry is worthless now, kind of. Like your product's free.
Yeah.
People lease everything now. They just lease music. They pay a fee and they can listen to anything.
Yeah.
And so how does that, work? As far as now we just have to play live.
Yeah.
And when it got taken away from me with COVID, that's hence the coffee business,
Yeah.
Like, okay, where is the income in this industry now?
For sure.
And I mean, I hate to sound like it's all about the money, but it is about the money a little bit when you kind of all of a sudden you don't have any.
Yeah.
You don't know it's not like you lost your job, you lost your industry.
Yeah.
So that's a hell of a transition.
For sure.
But, anyway, I just get lost in my own thoughts.
No,
you're good.
no, that's good. I mean, that's important. It's crazy looking back at it. I remember I was in Destin, Florida on vacation when it all happened.
Yeah.
I was having to jump on calls at 5 a.m, and they were shutting all of our call centers down in different countries. The government was shutting us down, and I remember driving back, a couple days after that, and you just see it's just empty, and all the beaches are closed, and it's just it's crazy that a lot of us, we lost 2 years of our life, and you said, like you said, you lost your industry. I was lucky enough to be able to keep my job, but any day I was like, I'm going to be fired. They're going to let me go. So luckily I was able to make it through that. But yeah, it's nuts to have
I don't think that'll ever happen again. I mean, I can't imagine it because it was such a traumatic experience for people.
Yeah.
Especially my son, who at the time he was a freshman in high school, going into his freshman year, and I'm thinking people graduating school. Okay, we're not graduating. There's no ceremonies. There's no nothing. And think about it. It's like the people that graduated high school. What was it? Something just. Oh, it was the. Was it all the protests that was going on? I remember something about the kids who missed high school graduation missed their college graduation because of something else. I remember they canceled a bunch of graduations.
Yeah.
I think it was for the protests from the Palestinian-Israeli conflict.
I think so, something like that.
Canceling graduations. And it was that same class that missed their graduation from the COVID. thing.
Yeah, I remember there was like the state tournament going on, for basketball, and they just had to cancel and.
Yeah,
so there's like sports teams and stuff. That
I remember that. Yeah,
it was a crazy time for sure.
Right, well, let's change to the happier.
Yeah. So let's transition into the coffee shop. So you started the coffee shop. Tell us about the beginnings of that and kind of how you ended up, getting your beans from Bolivia.
Like I said, my mom owned this building, right, and it's kind of in the family, I guess. It was empty. It's just sitting there. Mm-hmm. And I got the idea about what to put in there, and with the coffee shop, I'm like, look, I'm just going to make it. And I was talking to a friend of mine. He's like, hey, you could put all your gold records and all your whatever in there. And I was like, okay. And being from there, it's like it makes sense. I know it's a little awkward and odd because it's this little middle of nowhere town, but it's kind of like, I always wanted to kind of think, if I was going to own my own business, I would want to own one of those, hey, if you ever go to this town, you got to stop at this little, it's great, this kind of like out of the middle of nowhere, this kind of cool little spot. Because I wanted people, when they walked in there, they could feel like they're in Brooklyn. You could be in anywhere, but you don't feel like you're in Marshall County.
No, for sure.
So just to give you a little bit of something. Because the thing is like, it's a tourist area. There's a lot in the summertime. There's a lot of people from all over the place that come there, and it's kind of nice for them to see a little bit of something that they're familiar with. They're not familiar with Country Kitchen. Mm-hmm. It's certain places. What's a chicken fried steak? I didn't realize that was an Oklahoma thing or whatever. I moved to California. Like, where do you find chicken fried what?
The burger shop kind of had a name for, which that was sad that went away. But
I know, it's like they're like,
like
what is it? Is it ask for chicken fried steak. They're like, well, what is it? Is it chicken? I'm like, no, it's steak.
No, I get it. I worked myself out eating chicken fried. I can't eat it anymore, but when I was a kid, that was like my favorite thing. I'd eat that all the time.
God, I love Del Rancho.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thing ever. Yeah. I think in my yearbook, is like favorite thing to eat is ultimate steak sandwich, Del Rancho.
Del Rancho. That's funny.
So
the coffee shop, yeah. So I figure, I'm going to put a coffee shop in there. So I got a little bit of a loan off my 401k. So I was like, all right, I'm going to take this money and invest. I'm going to invest it in myself. You know what I mean? So I took my own money and started just putting it towards that, building this, putting walls up, plumbing, buying, just kind of put it together. And literally about 2 months before I'm about to open, that's when I met my partner. He came in about selling beans because that's the last thing on my mind is where am I going to get my beans from?
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of places I can get my beans from around here. Mm-hmm. Maybe not saying that they're around here, but I can get them anywhere. I had people from Chicago wanting me to use their beans. There's people, anywhere in the country, they just send you the beans. Mm. So anyway, he said, yeah, I'm from Kingston. He was actually a student at the school one year when I came back and talked to the kids. I might have been in Puddle of Mudd at the time, but came back and spoke at the gymnasium or something. And he wanted me to try his beans. So I tried them and I liked them. And so sure, maybe, And then he was like, well, what about, I remember on his way home, he called me 2 hours after he left. And he was like, what about if you roasted in there? I'm like, well, yeah, but I didn't, I don't know how to do that. I don't. So anyway, long story short, he's like, he has a roaster in Dallas. He was trying to start a business there, and it was only online. He didn't have a shop, but he wanted to roast and sell online. And he was kind of thinking, to himself before we met, he wanted to find somebody that could be like a face of it, some sort of, something.
Mm-hmm. Like maybe the drummer for Three Doors Down?
But we didn't know each other or anything.
Yeah.
Like something. But, so it just kind of worked out because I had something he needed, he had something I needed, and it was let's just partner up and just figure this out, we're just learning as we go, and we were able to figure out a fan of the band that I was telling a story to about shipping beans because he'd never shipped from Bolivia to the United States before. And I'm talking to him one time in Vegas, and he's like, "Oh, I work in logistics." He's like, "I can do that." Oh. So I got him on the phone with JD, my partner. And JD called me back. He's like, "Dude, we'll be ready to ship this out in 2 weeks."
Nice.
So, all right, and we got like 13,000 pounds of beans.
Wow.
And like they came and dropped a trailer off straight from the farm. And he came and taught me and my brother how to roast for about 2 weeks. And now, we roast all the time. So, learning now, it's kind of like anything else. The more you do it,
better you get.
It starts becoming like riding a bicycle.
Yeah, I'm going to roast tomorrow. I got to make a light roast.
That's just almost like, I don't know, just for you to be from Kingston, meet another guy from Kingston that has a farm in Bolivia. That to me is just like mind blowing. That's crazy.
It is to me. It's like, man, if the world or the universe or God or whatever isn't telling me to do this,
yeah.
Why are you putting this in my or connecting these? Well, you know what I mean.
The dots for you, yeah.
There's a lot. It's kind of like my whole life, like I said, is like that, like Mr. Magoo. Like I'm just stepping into fortunate things.
Yeah.
But is that just me, or is it just because I'm pursuing things? I'm not letting things happen to me. Because it's kind of like the thought of like, how does a rock band from Kingston get signed? Nobody's going to come to you.
Yeah.
No one's going to come to your house and tell you got to go do things. You have to make it happen. Like, just do it.
Yeah.
Back to that. It's like you have to go out. I tell people, like, if you want to be in the music industry, I'm a drummer, right? Well, go to LA. You might not end up being a drummer. You might end up finding out you're a producer or you're a drum tech.
Yeah.
Or you're like, because there's techs that are professional techs that aren't just like setting up drum, they actually tech, like records and things. And who knows? But, where you're going to be doing something that interests you. You know what I mean? It's not like, because I thought about it, it's like if I went to college, what would my major have been? Other than band director or being a music major. Then you're a band director, and other than that, there's no other occupation you can go into with a music degree.
Yeah.
Now, granted, band directors are crucial for musicians because those are the people who touch our lives the most.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
My band director, Rick Roach, and Bill Taylor in Kingston, they were huge influences in my life. Rick Roach helped me set up my drums for the first time, showed me how to do it. Made me play saxophone when I was in 5th grade as my first instrument, would let me play the drums. But then he put me on drums in high school because he's like, now you know theory, you know music, you can read, and not just play the drums. So it was important that he did that. Bill Taylor, I think it was my senior year in high school, took me to go see Lenny Kravitz at a bar in Dallas. And this was early days. Let Love Rule was just coming out. It was brand new. And it was like a religious experience.
Yeah.
Watching that. He was my chaperone. I was underage, but it was musical, like, that's
Mozart.
A cool thing to take he knew that I was really into music, and I'm going to pursue this in one way or another.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but I'm going to do something in this.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm really good at what I do. I was winning these band competitions and jazz band and marching band. I'd win state, district, or all these things. I was like, well, I'm pretty good at this. So, I mean, it wasn't like I'm like the best. I knew that was the case, but like, I got a chance. I'm not a complete like delusional person. I know I can do this. I've heard compliments before, but I don't. It's not an ego thing. It's just you have to be realistic. Like my son, I remember when he was a kid, he was like, he wanted to play professional video games. And he's like, you can do that. And I'm like, you can do that? You can actually, and I'm like, you can get scholarships and go to colleges. I'm like, okay, are you the best at this game in the neighborhood? He's like, no. I'm like, well, then that's probably not it. That's probably not going to be your future.
Yeah.
You need to be the best.
Yeah.
At least in your area.
And some high schools have the video game.
Yeah, it's like a sport.
Sports stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
Friend of ours' son is it what school is it?
Atoka.
Atoka, yeah. He's on their state team. They won. I think they won.
They won state, I think.
They won state.
They won something like that. It's
and
kind
like
of
the
wild.
video game. What game did it? League of Legends?
Was it over?
Overwatch. Yeah, Overwatch. Yeah. First person shooter.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's the equivalent of me telling my mom, I'm going to quit school with a full tuition scholarship and move to LA and try to be a rock, in a rock band. It's the same thing as like my son telling me I'm going to be a professional video gamer. Get out of here.
Yeah.
But who? So I kind of. But I look at it as like, who am I to say?
Yeah.
I tell my son, it's like, just whatever you do, make sure it makes you happy. Because when it's all said and done, are you happy?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's important.
Because my thing was is just if you do what you love, you don't work a day in your life kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it is true because I still do what I loved to do when I was 9, and now I'm doing it still professionally. I still enjoy it. I still love it. I actually, not taking away from what I do, but I love playing in a little bar or in just a room with a couple other, nobody, just the musicians themselves, or just a jam room, or just that intimate kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like now, I walk up there and a lot of times it's big places.
Yeah.
And I feel like the bass player is way over there. He's way, it's like, it's different than just being all tight. Because I remember my neighbor was playing and he was in a cover band and they're just friends. They were just jamming. They didn't play gigs. They were just weekend warriors, just drinking beer with the buddies.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's when it's the most fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're just
Bonding.
having some beers with your buddies and just playing Bryan Adams or whatever. just having a good time. And they're like, and I told them that, and they're like, you're full of shit. I was like, no, I swear to God. Anyway.
I do it for you.
It's actually Summer 69 is what they were playing.
Oh, okay. That's a much better song.
Where did you come up with the name Greg's Rockin' Coffee? Or Rockin' Go Coffee, yeah.
Well, it was actually called Greg's Dancing Goat.
Okay.
Initially. My favorite coffee that I'd had at the time was from a place called the Flying Goat in Healdsburg, California, which is like up around wine country, Santa Rosa area. And they're just, I love their coffee. And then a friend of mine was thinking of names, and one of them was the Dancing Goat. And I was like, goat. That's another goat thing. Mm-hmm. And I remember the Flying Goat. So I kind of researched it, and goat is, that's how the story goes, is that's how they discovered coffee, was the goat. In Ethiopia, these goat herders, the goats would eat these cherries because they're actually the coffee bean is a pit or a seed of a little cherry. Mm-hmm. And they would eat the cherries, and they would look like they were dancing and jumping around and going nuts.
That's awesome.
So that's how they figured out the caffeine. Mm-hmm. So that's how the story goes. So that's why the goat, you'll see goat and coffee connotations and stuff, and that's where that comes from. So I was going to be Greg's Dancing Goat. And right before I opened, I got a cease and desist from a place called the Dancing Goats, somewhere in Washington State. And they threatened a lawsuit, and it's from an attorney in Dallas and all this stuff. And I'm like, how am I?
How'd you find me?
Yeah, Kingston. And I'm like, so I talked to a friend of mine who's an attorney, Pat, and he was like, yeah, you could fight this, and I'm sure you'd be okay, but do you want to spend the money and get attorneys and all this stuff? Looking back, I should have, but I didn't, so I changed it to Greg's Rockin' Goat, because I sat there and like, Greg's Drumming Goat, no, Greg's this is the goat, no. It needed to be music, and I couldn't think of anything that really, and then I think my brother was like, why not Rockin' Goat? Just call it a day.
Problem solved.
I was like, all right, fine. So it was kind of like that. Okay. That wasn't the initial name. So I had to change it. So anyway, it turned out to be such a pain in the ass because not only did I lose all about T-shirts made, I had the logos in the windows, it was all the LLCs and the tax forms and the domain names, and I still have things that are Dancing Goat that are coming from certain all my bills, everything was turned on, and I had to just like that was actually more complicated and convoluted than it needed to be.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, in this automated world, it's like if I could just get somebody on the phone and say, "Look, here's the story. It was Greg's Rockin' Goat, it was Greg's Dance to Goat, now it's Greg's Rockin' Goat." Mm-hmm. And the other way was just like sending emails and filling out forms and stuff. I was like, I just would like to just tell somebody, you just click on that right there and just highlight it, delete, replace that word. That's it. Everything else is the same address, same, sales tax ID number or whatever. Anyway, so it was all that kind of thing was being the hassle.
Well, I think it worked. I mean, I like Rockin' Goat. I think it fits. I mean, you're a rocker. I mean,
I guess that's what my brother said.
I've
never seen you dance.
Yeah, that's
true. I don't really dance too often.
So,
but yeah, I mean, and like, what's in a name? Like, I'm Puddle of Mudd.
Yeah.
Going back to that. I mean, this is a stupid name. Hoobastank. What the hell is that? But you remember it.
Yeah.
Mud vein.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, just put it out there. And usually the more weird, the stranger it is, the more it ends up being catchy or memorable. Because you just want it to be memorable.
Yeah.
So hopefully Greg's Rockin' Goat will become memorable because I want to, expand this because, I mean, what would you do if all of a sudden, like, now you have access to a coffee farm?
Yeah.
Okay, we need to look into this.
Yeah.
I mean, these doors are starting to open. Let's make sure we go through them. But don't trip over ourselves trying to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a big industry, and we are in troubled times, as we always are. Mm-hmm. It's like, with
something's happening.
Economy or whatever. But what's funny is, like, all the research I did, and I did a lot of research, reading about it and everything, it's like when the economy is bad, when you're like in a recession or in times of war, the coffee industry
booms.
Right.
Thrives.
Coffee and liquor.
People always need coffee. Like people, it's like people love coffee.
Well, coffee, they say that's like in times of financial hardships, that's a luxury they can afford.
Yeah.
It's like I'm going to treat myself to something, but I'm not going to treat myself to like steak dinner.
No.
But I want to get a latte.
Yeah.
Get that extra shot in there. Because they legalized marijuana in Oklahoma, and everybody's like, "Oh, you need to put a marijuana place in there."
That's what everyone's doing.
Everybody's doing that.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What goes with it?" I'm like, "Coffee."
Yeah.
And then I've got like vinyl records. When I first opened it up, I put, I've still got the turntable there, but all the records are upstairs because our coffee beans took over. Mm-hmm. But we have like a collection of all 70s, 80s vinyl records. So I like to have my customers put on vinyl records because I like the crackle of it, and just also it's just a nostalgia thing. And then they're putting in a freaking hard rock.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's so
still
weird. It's like, tell me things aren't. I mean, I just put this coffee shop in. They hadn't announced any hard rock.
Yeah.
We were open when they announced that.
Yeah.
I'm like, somebody said, see, they're putting hard rock. I'm like, what is this, a joke? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I couldn't believe all the houses they're building right there off of the lake. Like it's blowing up over there. I haven't been to Kingston in a minute, so
I want to see what a $1.3 million home in Kingston looks like.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, they look. I mean, it's going to be not. They look nice as long as they're well built. And they've got their plumbing and all that stuff over there.
Every so often, that lake will get pretty high. So
Yeah.
My senior year of prom, we couldn't cross the Roosevelt.
Yeah, it was that way back in 2015 or 16.
2016,
flooded. Yeah,
I think.
it was a really bad. Yeah.
Or maybe, yeah.
If that happens, it's going to get pretty close to those homes. But I mean, it's nice.
Sure, yeah, I mean, they're considerably higher than the bridge.
Yeah. I don't think they'll get that high, but
no. Of course, it is Oklahoma, so I had to knock on wood.
No, you're fine. I do that all the time, man. I was driving and I was with my daughter and a black cat ran. I'm like, spit! I rolled down the window and my daughter's looking at me.
What does it touch the screw when you go past a railroad track?
Railroad track.
Yeah.
Which we have one of those in Kingston that's always super fun whenever a train comes through. You always have to stop right there.
I'm always 11:11. I always make a wish. You know, there's certain things. What was it? Sunday in Philadelphia when the turns off the phrase. He goes, "Why are you turning everything off 3 times? Doing everything 3 times?" Oh, I do that so you won't die.
so Charlie won't die. Yeah. Oh, I love that show so much.
That's great. That show's amazing.
It's my comfort show. I'll just like settle down and watch that show.
It's great. Yeah, I could watch it over and over. That shit's so good. Well, I mean, first, I'd tell our audience, go if you're in the Kingston area or around there, go get some coffee from Greg's place.
Please
for sure.
come down and visit. I mean, I like to, you know, my mom had a diner in Kingston, Bev's Diner. It's now the Country Kitchen, but it was a good 20 some odd years she owned it. I mean, I was washing dishes. We lived in a trailer behind it. And I grew up in that building, washing dishes like crazy. But I forgot where I was going with that.
We were talking about your coffee and going by to get it.
Oh. I'm talking about my mom.
Yeah.
She would always go out and visit with people and talk with them. And she always told me that's important.
Yeah.
You want to make them feel like they're family, like they feel comfortable coming in there. They want to come and see you and visit with you. So I want to make sure I try to do that too, because it is my name and it's my brand.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be there. Right. And it's like, we do get fans that'll come in there. Sometimes they know about it, sometimes they don't. And I love it when they walk in there and they're like, "What's going on with this?" It's like, "Why is the owner a big 3 Doors Down fan?"
The ultimate fanboy.
What's going on?
You know,
make sure I'm gonna go out there.
You know, and it's like it's cool because like I'll sit there and visit with these people and I'll take a picture or whatever, sign something if they want me to sign, but visit with them, just talk to them, you know, and then I watch them leave and they're just so excited about that. I'm like, it feels like, you know, a superpower. It feels like it's, you know, like to be able to just all I did was just be nice to them. And then they were so happy about that. Yeah. It's like, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like what I'm doing is important, you know, and
positive impact on others.
It's like, if I can continue to do that, there's no way the world's going to be unfair to me. Because I do believe in karma.
Yeah.
Amen. That's all. I'm just trying to build up karma points by being nice to people and being courteous and, you know, empathetic and trying to, you know, when it comes to a tough decision to make of what to do, I always think it's like, would my mama be proud? That's your answer. Yeah. Whatever it is, you know, that kind of thing. Just make sure I'm nice to people. Yeah. And so, come on down and visit with me. I cannot help you find a gig. If you're looking for a band and you're a drummer or want to play me your music. You know, eventually I do want to, I've been wanting to do it and talking about doing it. But it's just like, I haven't had time to focus on this one location, but to like do acoustical like performances there. I did have my bass player come and play a show there, and he said it was one of the toughest gigs he's ever played because he's never played a show where it was just silent and everybody is listening. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, because he's played honky tonks and you know in Tennessee and all that stuff in that area. So he came out here and it was like noon, coffee. It's quiet, and everybody's listening to every word. And it was pretty intimidating. Yeah. You know, so I think that's a good place if you want to be a singer-songwriter. Can you do that? Mm-hmm. Can you sit in a silent room in front of strangers and play the songs that you wrote? Yeah, because it's different when you're in a band and you're on stage and people are screaming and they're not all focused on just you. Right. Yeah. Some people are listening to every single thing you do. Mm-hmm. You're a pin drop in a lot of those situations. It's a real test for a singer-songwriter. I mean, I forgot. Cool, quick story. Yeah. Yeah, no, go ahead. I did a song called Skin to Skin. Okay. And I wrote it. It was right when the COVID happened, right? The kid that was renting my basement, he was an engineer of the band's studio. And COVID happened and like everything was on lockdown. He's like, you should write a song about it. So I wrote a song. He's like, let's go record it. All right, so because we had nothing else to do. So I played the drums, the guitar, sang, I wrote everything. He engineered it. And I just went back there and played all the stuff and we made a little video for it. I mean, it was okay. I mean, it was a fun song. Mm-hmm. And I didn't forget all about it, but I mean, whatever. It was 5 years ago now. But Dale Earnhardt Jr. just sent me a text a couple weeks ago. He got my number. I know. I'm like, what? He got my number from Brad, our singer.
Yeah.
He wants to use that song for the new NASCAR 25 video game coming out.
That's cool.
What?
Really cool.
Yeah, so I had to sign a licensing agreement and all this stuff. So this song that I did like 5 years ago, it's just whatever. I think it's got like a couple thousand streams or whatever. I mean, nobody's heard it or whatever. But they're going to put it in this.
Dude, that's all. Dude, that's so cool.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So it's NASCAR 25 is the name of the game.
Yeah.
I think it comes out this fall. So, but it was cool that Dale Jr. sent me a text asking because I really think this song would be really good for our soundtrack or whatever. I'm like, hell yeah, man.
No, that's so cool. We have a lot of gamers that listen to our podcast. Well, I'm kind of a gamer,
Sure.
old school.
I mean, yeah, it's a different. I mean, when I was a gamer, I wasn't a gamer. We had Atari.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a lot different. And when Sega and Nintendo came out, I was kind of like, well, at least came out. I never bought one. I was too into music.
Yeah.
And I just didn't gravitate towards it too much. You know what I mean? Until I was like, really got into it was when I was in Puddle of Mudd, we were playing Grand Theft Auto, and that first.
Oh yeah, dude, that game was sick.
We were back in the lounge and I was playing that thing all night. But yeah, I mean, because it's funny, it's like I asked Brad, I'm like, my singer, I was like, how does like royalties work and something like that? Because because technically I own that whole song. I recorded it. There's no label.
Yeah.
I own 100% because the way they work it out is, you know, the label has 100%, the artist has 100%, and it goes to songwriting. The lyrics have 100% because everything's actually 200%. Is what they do it. I'm like, well, I got 200% of everything. I mean, it's just me.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I don't know. I'm like, so it's weird. It's like, how do you make money in that? Do you know what I mean? So
I'm sure it's a percentage on how many of the games are sold or something.
Yeah.
I know they asked me for my banking info, so I'll let you know what that.
Yeah,
is.
for sure.
Keeping an eye on it. I'm like, I wonder what happened. So if all of a sudden you get something in there, you know, hey.
Greg moved to Barcelona. I guess that NASCAR game did really well.
Right. You know, talking about, you know, retiring to Kingston. I want to, but I wouldn't mind having a house in Kauai.
Oh yeah, no, it's not bad.
If we turn out to be another like, mini Starbucks or hell, even a Scooters, I'm seeing that everywhere. So everybody's got their hands in the coffee industry.
Yeah, I didn't know about Dutch Brothers until they put that one in Sherman. I didn't know that was a huge brand up in Washington.
Yeah.
So, you know.
They're everywhere. I mean, what it is what's going to make mine different is mine's going to have an identity.
Yeah.
You know, Dutch Brothers, neither one of them is Dutch.
No.
It's like, what is it? That armed forces...
Oh, Black Rifle? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not owned by these military guys that people think it's a very liberal company that owns it. It was bought.
Yeah.
But they keep the image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's certain things that you find out, you're like, oh, man, you know. But, you know, I just want to have a more hip kind of like brand or something, you know. I don't know, maybe moving forward, they're not all Greg's Rock and Go. Maybe it's just Rock and Go or something. I don't know. But I've got an idea for what we want to do to expand it, and but not really coffee shops. I mean, because it's kind of like the Scooters and the Dutch Brothers. It's like you don't really need a walk-in coffee shop.
No.
Yeah, Dutch Brothers doesn't even have it inside. They have a drive-through and a walk-up window.
Scooters doesn't. They're like, this will be my only coffee shop. The rest of the things I'm trying to do, because we bought a coffee truck. We're working on fixing it up to get it.
Oh yeah, though.
Okay, that'd be
And then
cool.
we're going to try to use it to, you know, start spreading the name. And then also we could use it to probably scout locations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because we just want really no more than the size of this room. You know what I mean? It's all you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so when you're shipping your own product to you, you know, it's kind of like, okay, we have quite a bit access to it. How much of this, you know, we have to take advantage of this.
No,
and the thing is,
for
like I
sure.
said, I'm a drummer. I'm not a businessman. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a good opportunity here. I'm just trying not to trip over my own to get
Yeah,
to it. You know
for
what I mean?
sure. No, and I think you have a good product. So for legitimately, I say that.
It's 100% organic. It's American-owned farm. I mean, if you went to the farm where these coffee beans are, they do tours of it. And there's like an Airbnb, that kind of place you can stay. And there's a little coffee shop there. It's like a winery. but it's in Bolivia. It's a coffee farm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gorgeous. It's in the mountains.
Hey, don't threaten me with a good time.
That sounds
I'll go.
I haven't been there. I've only seen pictures of it because I've only been to South America once, and we went to Brazil, and we didn't go anywhere else. So I'm hoping that one day we'll go to South America.
You're like, hey, Brad, let's.
I just got back from Colombia, literally last night. Yeah, I came back.
Really?
Yeah, I had a client. We was hosting down there in Bogota. So yeah, it was fun. Had some good coffee. So.
Man, so yeah, I mean, there's opportunity there, and it's like I said, I just want to try to do it right, and like I started with just being really about the community first and build a brand that's respected.
For sure.
And not, it's like I went to Old Red or whatever, and Old Red's, I mean, I kind of got the idea from that in the sense of like, okay, he's got his name on something. In Nashville, there's Dierks Bentley's got one.
Yeah.
Kid Rock's got one. Garth Brooks has got one now. Bon Jovi's got. They're all the same thing. It's honky tonk food. They all have the same menu. They all have the
same shirts and all that.
Thing. But he doesn't have anything really to do with it other than just selling the brand. There's a business. There's a company behind it.
Yeah.
There's investors. There's all these other avenues. Whereas this is just me.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lot harder for me to get to the level. Like, he's got an Old Red in airport in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a good business. I mean, if you can get in an airport,
you got
sure. 24/7 customer base, especially as a coffee. Like, I want to get into Love Field.
Oh, I love
Because
Love
I'm
Field.
like, that'd be perfect for Love Field because there's no coffee shop in there. There's a Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
And there's a little Starbucks in there, but like, I don't know. It's just like, let me start with Hard Rock first, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
See if I can get involved with that because you think that they would let me.
Yeah.
They'd let me entertain the idea. Because I've got a pitch to them.
Yeah.
Of how I want, to be associated with them because I'm already in Hard Rock. So at Biloxi Hard Rock, there's a mannequin of me in a Hard Rock.
Yeah, that's
And
cool.
It's crazy, and it's funny. It's like all the clothes I'm wearing was bought at Target.
Hey, I shop at Ross and stuff.
I'm a TJ Maxx guy. So.
It's like everybody else has got these big outfits on, but it's like I'm wearing on the drums. I got basketball shorts and t-shirt. That's it.
Yeah, just jam it, living the dream.
I love that fact that I'm in my position in the band, and as far as my instruments, I can go from band to band. Nobody even knows. Nobody knows what the drummer from Three Doors Down looks like, really. I mean, do you know what the bass player looks like for, Foo Fighters?
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what the singer looks like. So I've got that anonymity. It's not like certain bands like Motley Crue where everybody looks like her.
Yeah.
Certain bands, but Three Doors kind of faces. It's kind of weird, like a rock band with a country singer, so it's got this weird line, genre-wise, But, I don't. None of us really get recognized too much. Not like I said, the Chris Cornell.
Yeah.
Goes, see that, like, that.
I would make out with Chris Cornell.
Get paid.
Yeah, I got paid $350. I was gonna ask you. I was like, would you make out with Garrett for $350? But we'll leave that off to the. I'm just joking.
I was hoping maybe get some talent from him.
Yeah, well, you've got some exciting things going on. Like, one, thank you again for coming on the podcast. Man, this has been a pleasure, a blast. Like, you're such a genuine dude, man. Like, just living the dream, trying to live your best life, trying to inspire others. And I mean, anything we can do, obviously let's stay in touch. When you got new things going out, we'll talk about it on the podcast and stuff. And
sure,
I'm excited to try more of your coffee. And this has been an amazing opportunity for you to come on this podcast and tell some of your amazing. I'm sure you've got so many stories.
Yeah, we probably could have gone on for a while.
Yeah, we might have to do a part 2 episode, but we can.
I can. Yeah, I've got. Haven't gotten into the ridiculous ones yet.
Yeah.
You gotta tell the Jimmy Page.
No, 100%. I love that one. Making out with Chris Cornell.
Making out, the Joe Strummer thing. I mean, there's certain moments,
Yeah, we'll definitely have to plan something else again to get you back on and tell some of those other
we'll
stories.
Have to wait and see what the ratings say.
Yeah.
What the feedback
for sure.
Fans are. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, I'm Cody.
I'm Garrett.
And we are the Bourbon Nerds. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
The Bourbon Nerdz podcast is hosted and executive produced by Cody Mills and Garrett Welch. The show is produced, mixed, and edited by me, Ethan Adams. The show features original music by Alex Pitts. You can find The Bourbon Nerdz on all the major social media platforms. Please follow, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts or your podcast player of choice. It really does help the show. Please don't hesitate to send an email or message on social media. We love to hear your thoughts, comments, and bourbon suggestions. The Bourbon Nerdz would like to remind the audience to always drink responsibly, know your limits, and never drink and drive. Be sure to check in every Sunday for a brand new episode. Cheers!